recognized Associate of the Year for 2022. It's a person, I'm going to read it here, outstanding dedication and profound contribution towards advancing the goals and vision of Adizes worldwide. And this year, we recognize Greg over here. I think you should tell us, what did you do to earn it? I mean,
I have to talk about myself. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. This is great. Associate of the Year. Really means a lot. And I wouldn't be here without the support of everybody in this room. What did I do to get it? I mean, in the last year, certainly we organized this, but I published the book together with Bo. We've created the Heartful Adizes program that's now running continuously with, it's online 6-week program with people from all over the world taking part in it. It basically runs itself now, right? We've got somebody from Hungary that just is a volunteer that organizes everything, and another person that supports her from India. The instructors for the course have all been trained, first by me, and then we created videos, and so now they're trained through the videos, and then we have quality control, of course, but it's a great program. And so those are a few of the things, and then worked with clients and so on. But I started in Adizes. I first met Ichak in Tirana, Albania at a Seaman conference, 2008. And I watched this guy get up there and talk about all his crazy ideas, and it was really it was the life cycle. And afterwards, I went to him. He had a half an hour, and he talked for like at least 45 minutes. But I went to him and I said, you know, what would it take to get you to come to Riga and just do like half-day seminar? $20,000. Wow, I don't have $20,000. Yeah. And then he said, or an honorary PhD. So we got him he has a PhD from Reciba University, right? And he came here in 2009, did the first presentation. His first trip to Riga, I guess that was. There was somebody else with him, this little guy that was a little bit strange and didn't speak any English. And where's Peter? Following him around. And
Who doesn't speak?
yeah, and so yeah, he did the seminar. It was a great success. It was a lot of fun. He's been back now several times, and he fell in love with Riga. Yes, so, and he finally brought his wife with him. But I wouldn't be here without all of you. Also, I wouldn't be here without my wife, who is somewhere in the audience. I hope there she is, Jana. Right. So she's been there to support me all of this time. And I got my first certification. I went through training with Pavel, I think was Pavel, and maybe Zeki was my first 2 trainings. And then I got certified in phase 2 with Shoham, and then just started doing some consulting at that time because I wasn't really, I was trying to find clients and then bring people in, develop the market. And Virginius helped a lot, and we had some interesting experiences with new clients. But just kind of went on and was just kind of treading water with it until 2017 when Vladimir showed up. He had gone through a Breakthrough to Prime training, and I guess it was a couple years later he came back and said, I want to work with you. So he came in, we started working together, and now the business has really grown. And now we've got Daria also here with us. So thanks to Daria, she's the reason that all of this is working, except for the computer. That's not her fault.
The computer is not certified yet.
Right? And so now, our business is doing well. We're really growing, and we got clients. You've seen our clients. We have another client here who's going to speak this afternoon, Eugene, who you heard he built up his company and then he sold it and he has his own. And Ervins was also there as well in the company. And so, you know, things are moving forward. For a minute, I want to take a step back. Almost. Almost. Okay. So, almost childhood. Portland, 1891. Now, why am I showing you this? This is where my grandfather was born. The year my grandfather was born. Kind of tells you how old I am. But, and you can see there's a horse and buggy. They're delivering metal cans of, I assume it's milk, right? And then they have their business, which is farm implements business. They have their delivery service right here, right? So their logistics, okay? And that was 1891, right? And when my grandfather was born. Now, also in 1891, we had the Flying Man. This is in Derwitz, Germany. And this guy, he was the first guy to really fly gliders. In 1981, he had his Derwitzer glider, and he flew 80 feet. How many meters is that? 25 meters, right? But they called him the Flying Man because he had over 2,000 flights with gliders before he died in his glider in 1896, right? So, but now think about that, and now we're going to jump forward to 1969. What happened July 21st, 1969?
Greg was born.
No. A Saturn V rocket took off, carrying 3 men who went to the moon. Apollo 11, right? Now, why am I showing you this? Because I was sitting, this is 78 years later. I was sitting with my grandfather in the living room watching this, and his comment was, I've gone from the horse and buggy to men on the moon. In 78 years, that's the change that took place. Only 78 years. It's amazing, right? And that change is certainly continuing today, and it's accelerating and accelerating. Since 1969, we've had a lot more change. Another way to think about it, this guy, Georges Anderla, put forth this idea, which he got from somewhere else, of the knowledge doubling curve. And so the idea is, how long does it take for cumulative knowledge to double? Right? All the knowledge that exists, human knowledge. And the idea is that before the 1900s, knowledge doubled about every 100 years, the cumulative knowledge that the human race possessed. But in 1900, something changed and it started to accelerate. And so the next doubling took 50 years, and then 20 years, and then 10 years. And by 2017, knowledge is doubling in 13 months. 13 months. And today, an estimate, IBM, 12 hours. You'll wake up tomorrow morning. You'll wake up tomorrow morning.
No, I have a tremendous insight. This second. Look at what you see there. And you know, in my lectures, I say, no company should grow like this. True or not true? Yeah. If you grow like this, what will happen? You will fall. You need to restructure. And if society is going like this, we will fall. It's going to be a disaster coming. It's coming, guys, it's coming. Whether it's a nuclear war or the environment is going to backfire, it is coming because nobody can grow like this. It has to restructure. We have to restructure our culture, restructure our behavior, restructure what we do, or what we are doing.
Yeah. Thank you, yeah. But, you know, it's incredible. You're going to wake up tomorrow and the amount of knowledge is doubled again. And then the day after and the day after, right? Now, companies have to survive in this. And so what we see in companies is we talk about, oh, we need to transform ourselves. Can't read the text up there. And so, you know, companies, they decide to go through a transformation program. And they have to do some marketing, so they put something up like this and say, if there was no such thing as a transformation, we'd never have butterflies, right? So they do some marketing and say, we got to transform ourselves. And then what do they do next? To transform, let's get some bean bags, right? Put a tent in there, create an environment where it's fun to be and open and exciting. And then, of course, if you got this, to really transform, you have to have lots of Post-it notes. Put them up on the wall, write on them, vote on them, have fun with that. So that's part of it. Then we need a place where people can exchange ideas. So you gotta have a water cooler, right, where they can go around. Or even better, you have the foosball table. One of our clients who's here, they have in their office a pool table and a ping pong table. Right? So now we got this environment where people are having fun, it's open, they're sharing things, and this is our organizational transformation. We're more agile and so on. And that's all it takes, right? Or maybe not. Because the company's now trying to drive change. They're going through this transformation where we can drive change faster. And really what we get then is we get conflicting interests. We have scarce numbers of positions and we're not sure who's doing what with whom and so on. Or we get so much change that you get the change apathy, right? Not another one. Not another one. And they get so bad that people just resist it altogether. And management has to drag them along. Right? So what do we do about this? I forgot what my next slide is.
About your grandmother.
Not my grandma. So, but with all of this, we know that transformation starts with leaders. Okay? So the leaders sit together in a room, and they're talking about, oh, our market share is dropping, we're not changing fast enough, we're last to market with new initiatives, and on, we got to do something. And they're discussing, and somebody comes up and says, we need to think outside the box. Sounds good. Okay. But, you know, nobody likes this box. There's something wrong with this box. Everybody wants to get out of it. But what happens when we try to get out of the box? One person wants to go this way, another wants to go that way, somebody else wants to go that way, and again, it's not working. So what do we need? What we really need, where transformation really starts, is with leaders who think inside the box. Now, what does that mean? Okay. We've got different ways of doing this. In Adizes, I'm going to give you a few ideas that come to me. We have the PAEI box. We have this box. We have PAEI roles. We have PAEI styles. We need to focus on that box, and how do we get all of those to work together? How do we bridge the conflicts and make them constructive? We can have the democracy box, which is decision-making versus implementation, and we know how those are in conflict. And we have to figure that out. We've got the CAPI box. Right? So and where we need to learn how to really gain control over our problems and being able to solve them and implement them. Right? All of these are about thinking inside the box. That's really what we need to do. And once we've got that box, what we're really talking about inside the box is what? Internal integration. That's working inside the box. Building internal integration. Once we have that, now we can start to look outside the box. So really that's where we need to start. And we know that internal disintegration, comes about from a lack of mutual trust and respect. And we have to build that so that we can get the internal integration. And that mutual trust and respect, right, where does it start? We've heard a lot about it, but really where it starts is with the individual. How can you have somebody else trust and respect you if you don't have respect and self-trust? So how do you build up your own self-respect, your own self-trust, your self-esteem? And really what it means is, how do you love yourself? Because that's what we've heard. Trust and respect equals love. So how do you learn to love yourself for your strengths and your weaknesses? And then how do you project that on your team, on your unit, and on your organization? Right? So transformation really starts with those leaders who build trust and respect and love inside the box. And that's really one of the most important things I've learned through my work with Adizes. Thank you, and enjoy that adventure inside growing your box. One last thing I forgot to say. Always one more thing for the big E's. Is once you're working inside the box, you start to think outside the box, but the action is, how do you grow the box? Make it bigger, put more inside, and enough toys that all the big green E's can play with.
Many go to think outside the box to avoid thinking what is in the box. Remember that problems are like shadows. If you run from the shadow will chase you. If you turn around and face the shadows will run away from you. Always face your problems. Don't go out of the box so we don't have to think what is in the box. Wrong. But I want to say one more correction. It's very important, which I did not do it, and very important. The model democracy and democratship is outdated. You mentioned it, so I had to correct it. I'll tell you why. First of all, we got a lot of back response from some countries, because we're saying dictatorship in implementation. They heard the word dictatorship, they just went crazy. Are you promoting dictatorship? No. What is on the right side? Common interest. When a dictator says, l'État c'est moi, common interest is my interest, that is dictatorship. What we want is common interest of the people, not the interest of the dictator. Because then what should be driving implementation is the common interest and not the dictatorship of the dictator. So that's why we have to change it.